So Marco Rubio and a bunch of far right-wingers smeared Ilhan Omar with selective editing that totally changed the context of what she was saying. So take a look at this here. You'll see when the screen goes purple, that's the stuff that was left out of the video that was, traveling around on right-wing Twitter and on, the right-wing internet. So let's take a look and then we'll discuss.
A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. And so if fear was the driving force of policies to keep America safe, Americans safe inside of this country, we should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
So what they did is they edited the video to try to make it look like she was saying, what we need to do is, be more fearful of white men. They tried to make it look like that was something she actually said in earnest and was pushing for. Like the implication is, we need to do surveillance of all white men because that's where the threat is coming from. When you saw the full context, what she was saying is, hey, if we're going to act based on fear, that is what we would do because the data shows that there are more right-wing terror attacks than Islamic terror attacks. So if that is the basis of policy, well then, basically by your own logic, we should do surveillance of white right-wingers. She didn't actually propose that. She doesn't actually mean we should increase surveillance of white people. That's not what she was saying. They tried to make it look like, they edited it to make it look like she was proposing that idea in earnest. Like, oh yeah, totally. I introduced HR 767, which says very clearly we need to start spying on all white people, all white men. That's not an actual position that she's taken. And funny enough, it's like by Marco Rubio going after her, he actually proves her point. Why? Because Marco Rubio, was hair on fire. Oh my God, she hates white people. She's racist against white people. See, she said we should increase surveillance of white people, blah, blah, blah. The point that people on the left make all the time whenever there's an attack from a Muslim fundamentalist terrorist, they say, well, this is an attack from a Muslim fundamentalist terrorist. That doesn't mean all Muslims are by extension guilty and now suspect, and now we should be doing surveillance, warrantless surveillance of all Muslims in the country, or look at all Muslims suspiciously. That's honestly a ridiculous notion. There's so many different schools of thought within Islam in the first place. What are you going to do? You're going to look at Ahmadi Muslims for Wahhabi terrorism? That doesn't make any sense at all. That's really stupid. That's really dumb. Don't do that. That's what the left says, okay? Marco Rubio took that same logic and applied it when it came to right-wing terror. He was like, what do you mean? You're going to spy on all white people? Because there was some white guy who did terrorism? Well, that's crazy. Yeah, that's the point. That's the exact point she's making. She's saying, yeah, that's crazy. Why would, we shouldn't spy on all Muslims and view all Muslims skeptically because some Muslim fundamentalist terrorism exists, and we shouldn't look at all white people and be fearful of all white people because there's some people who are sovereign citizens or who are, neo-Nazis or white supremacists who are doing attacks. So you're actually making the point that she was trying to make, but you're too stupid to even understand that that's what you did. And, it really is something, isn't it? For the same people who argue all the time that we have call out culture and cancel culture and snowflakes who get triggered at everything. And then they get fucking triggered when Ilhan Omar makes an obviously true statement because they take it out of context and they smear as a result of it. They're not interested in good faith discussion. They're not interested in dialogue. They're not interested in getting to the truth. Marco Rubio and all the fucking bobblehead idiots who were harping away on this, they're interested in playing for a team and smearing somebody who made a point that's obviously correct because they don't like her. So they're going to keep doing this. They're going to keep... It's particularly nefarious because when it comes to Ilhan Omar, they really work overtime to try to make it seem like not only is she wrong and bad, but she's also like evil and nefarious. There's definitely a tinge of that in there, especially with Donald Trump saying she's pro-Al-Qaeda. What the fuck? So it actually is really dangerous and it's shameful. And then Marco Rubio, when people corrected him on it, he doubled down. There's nothing to double down on, you fucking jackass. What are you talking about? So it's pathetic, and he should be ashamed of himself. And listen, I'm going to tell you guys, and you guys probably already know this, but particularly when it comes to attacks on the Justice Democrats, assume up front everything is bullshit, but always do your due diligence and research, because the attacks are so overreaching and so beyond the pale and so ridiculous that it should be clear at face value that a lot of it is bullshit. But they really do have it out for these people. And the reason is very simple. They are true agents of change. And they're not playing around. And they're not going to be bought. They're not going to back down. So the claws are out from establishment Democrats and definitely from the far right. And that manifests in some very, very ugly ways.